Hi everyone, this is Sky. I hope you're doing well and welcome back. Today I'm going to be speaking about the Mars-Neptune conjunction that we will be having exact on June 12th, 2020. The moon will be there as well, and this transit ultimately is going to affect the entire month of June, but specifically this 2-week period from about the time of June 8th till June 20th is going to be very affected by this conjunction that we are having in the sky. This is a very significant conjunction because it will be square the sun in Gemini. And if you've seen some of the previous videos that I've made recently, I've been talking about how the Gemini season, the planets transiting through Gemini right now, how they're quincunxing the Capricorn triple retrograde conjunction, and how that has been a difficult thing for humanity to go through and a difficult thing to really articulate in the easiest way possible. I've been talking about how this quincunx between the Gemini and Capricorn transiting in the sky now, how it is, it's not harmonious, it's not easy, it's meant to really bring up things that we haven't felt have been harmonious for a long time, and it's meant to really communicate those things. That is a lot of what this time is about, is the communication of old status quo issues and problems that sometimes comes about in a way that's not easy for some people, okay? There is friction there, but sometimes it does take friction to really move things in a direction or reascribe momentum to certain things which have been stagnant for too long. So I do feel that this Mars-Neptune conjunction is in the same vein of redirecting a certain momentum, okay, for everybody. I feel that everybody has a bit of a shift in path during this time. And I think that everybody has an opportunity to really take their own destiny or their own future momentum into their own hands, as this is what Mars-Neptune conjunct is, to me, always about. Neptune ruling over larger, more unseeable momentums, both spiritual and physical, and then Mars dealing with the individual wielding what it comes into contact with. So traditionally, okay, this conjunction is a malefic. This is a malefic conjunction, meaning that it's inauspicious. It's something that brings about difficulty, and that is because it is very difficult, if not impossible, for Mars to grasp the entirety of what Neptune can offer. And because what Neptune is not totally sensible, okay? Mars deals with the immediate senses, like being able to see, being able to hear, being able to feel, and working with those senses to move forward. And Neptune is the intangible sense, it's the sixth sense. It's what we can't see, and Mars struggles to operate there, so it's really trying to grasp some things that are difficult for it to grasp. So yes, what is very possible right now is to try to hang on to something that doesn't really have a future momentum, or to try to really force a certain momentum into place, always with the Mars-Neptune conjunct energy. It's a very psychically forceful energy as well, so it's really easy to feel like other people in our lives may be really forcing a certain reality onto us, or really forcing a certain momentum or certain even destiny. We can really feel like we're thrust into certain paths by other people with this conjunction, and we can also potentially do that without realizing, like really affect changes in other people's lives without even realizing, and in sometimes like really mundane ways too, just by looking at somebody a certain way, or just by connecting with somebody in a certain way. It can really have a stronger, more impactful effect than it usually would with the Mars-Neptune, because it's almost like it gets really deep with this energy, where certain facial expressions or certain inflection points of like the voice or of the persona, these activate certain instinctual patterns deep in the brain, and it can create like a more intensified version of this right now. So be very aware of how you're coming off, especially with loved ones during this time. It can be really easy to actually be very disturbing to loved ones, for example, and also very uplifting to people that you don't really have a lot of context with. So that is kind of one of the worst case scenarios for this time, is to be very backwards, and I've talked a little bit about this in some of the general readings, is to be like really backwards with who you want to uplift and who you don't in life. Like you can really see that you're uplifting or elevating people in your life that you don't really have a lot of space for anymore, if you're not careful. So be careful with that. Also, not a great time for super long-term commitments right now either. There is a change coming for most people in some way or another, either a move or some change in career. It's not even a change, it's a shift. I've been talking about how difficult changes and transformations are right now. It's really hard to be somewhere or do something that we have no context with all the Capricorn energy. But if you have a shift, like is likely right now, like a shift or a slight change within the current context, it's great for it not to be super long term right now. And it's great for it to be as inexpensive as possible, energetically, monetarily. However, the decisions that we make now need to be somewhat frugal ones, because the mind is chaotic and the mind is making decisions from a chaotic place. So for those of you who've been able to know that you needed a change and have been able to follow through with that, congratulations. Now comes sort of a testing point with, how much do you want to commit to it? How much do you want to prepare to spend, energetically, with your time, with your money, whatever. This can be a very expensive time, especially emotionally. So the Mars-Neptune conjunction deals with painful emotions. It deals with emotional effort. It deals with emotional endurance. Okay, so during this time, especially on June 12th, when the moon is there too, we have some emotional endurance to accept and to take on. We have responsibility to take on. We have actually healing certain dynamics as the only way forward for most people. And I want to really play this up in this video, because this is what I feel most strongly about this conjunction, is that this is a demand for certain spiritual healings, for certain healings of injustices, for certain healings of pain, just pain. I want you to think about pain. I want you to think about pain right here and right now, and what pain has meant for you as a person. It's different for everybody, and it's the same for everybody, We all have our slightly different scenarios of trauma and pain, and then we have more collective traumas and pains that we all go through. And right here, right now, we cannot get overwhelmed or oblivious with it, because this is what can also happen with Mars and Neptune, is we can think our pain is coming from somewhere that it's not, or we can really get hysterical sometimes about our pain right now too, and we have to keep it really clean, and we have to keep it really aware so that it can be healed and so that the problems can be solved. We have to be very specific. Mars is also the ruler of Scorpio. It rules Aries, but it's a traditional ruler to Scorpio. So Mars operates best when it is getting straight to the deepest points, straight to the, hidden aspects, straight to all of the things that haven't been seen before, bringing those to light. But Neptune is about fogginess. It's about blurriness. It's about distance and empty space. So we have Mars trying to get to the deepest point and trying to understand it all and zigzag back and forth within a sort of empty type of oblivion. And that I see this in people. I see this in myself. I see this around, where we are trying to contextualize something that is very big and very open and very discreet as well. So it's just a kind of a part of the time. And I think that it is so possible that during this time of around June 12th, that we can find the crux. We can find the heart of it. We can find the deepest point, yes. But once we discover what it is, it can be a bit of a Pandora's box as well with this energy. So as we discover answers, or as we see hidden things, the effect that this has on the world overall can be very out of control and very out of context with the actual truth of it. So it's very temporary, but this is a brief point where there will be a discovery about something taboo, about something really frightening. There will be some kind of discovery like that during that time, because this does square the sun. The sun and the moon are involved in this conjunction, okay? So it's going to be the discovery of some kind of emotionally taboo, mysterious thing that we didn't know was there. And okay, this is not just collective, this is not just individual, this is everything. So individually, especially if this is hitting your chart in some way, you'll probably discover something about your life and about your momentum that you never knew. And it could be like Pandora's box. It could be something that's really overwhelming at first. And you have to really give yourself comfort. You have to really be patient with yourself. You have to really be yeah, you just have to really allow it passage, you know. That's something that I've gotten really clear, is the allowance of passage, allowing these things to pass, allowing these things to have their momentum now. And then societally and collectively, I mean, obviously we know that we're discovering certain truths. We know that we're really getting into certain cruxes right now. And that's going to get much stronger on June 12th and around that time. And I'm not sure about how it goes then after that point in time. You know, for the rest of June, I can see pretty clearly the momentum. But once we get into Cancer season, you know, strongly, you know, past June 21st, we'll see what happens then. But yeah, discoveries, hidden things coming to light, the discovery of certain taboos, the discovery of certain things that we never even thought were there, like really even like unexpected things. Okay. And I think that this discovery will even be a bit like spiritual as well, because Neptune, because I'm kind of speaking about it as if it were like a Uranus Mars, because this is what this sounds like. So to contextualize it to Neptune more, it's going to be something that we feel more so than something that we can touch. Okay, it might not even be that tangible. It might just be a like something that we feel, something like finally feeling a certain way that helps us to connect a certain dot. It's like the synapses that connect to create a certain reaction. It's a very synaptic time for sure. I would definitely say that. And I think that it really requires some of us to just finally heal, okay? Because when this transit comes in for everybody, okay, specifically for those who have this transiting a strong point in their chart, but for everybody to a certain degree, this is going to show where something went wrong, and this is going to show where something got way too, you know, visceral and way too emotional in your own life, you know, maybe long in the past. You know, if this is transiting like your 8th house or any water house, even like the 10th house or something, this is going to really show a long-running past momentum and the unstable aspects of it, okay? And as we see that, it is so important to now be able to heal it. As we discover, we heal. As we see, we implement. As we, you know, come into contact, we connect. You know, there is a very sacred geometry about this time, I feel, or that stands to come. This is not quite in yet, so I'm just getting a strong download about moving really into July. As this is connecting that point, this transit, this time, we are moving into a very sacred time, actually, a very geometrically sacred time in July. So I'll talk more about that in the July video. But what that means is that we have a lot of things to see in June. We have a lot of things to uncover. We have a lot of skewed momentum to get back onto track. And we have a lot of personal power to identify and to feel like we can wield, and to feel not ashamed of and not afraid of and not crushed by. We have the ability here to see how we have been crushed under our own momentum, how we have been clearly in the waves of the human condition, and here we can find our power, and here we can begin to navigate with the energy of Mars through the waves of Neptune. So this is a really wonderful point of taking this energy and manifesting it in a higher way, is kind of like what I would consider archetypally using this energy in a high vibrational way, would be steering a ship through very stormy waters, okay? It is possible, it does happen. People have done this many times. But there is a bit of a storm. I feel that this is a stormy time. I feel that this is an uncharted time as well. So what a great time it is for maps or for astrology or for any kind of study or, you know, plan that gives us direction, okay? I feel that some of us are aimless or hapless right now, especially coming from the time of the quarantines and everything. A lot of us are still not back into normal rhythm yet. And you might really be able to see also with this Mars-Neptune conjunction, as there is a slow integration back into things, back to the way that things kind of used to be, like before all of that, you might see people that you saw before the time of the quarantines. And by seeing them and not having seen them during the entire time, you'll maybe be able to identify a shift in paradigm since that time. And this Mars-Neptune conjunction will really show a lot of people how much things have changed over the last few months. So as we start to identify those changes, or as we start to really come to terms with these shifts, we really do have to find some amount of love and peace within it too. So I think one of the big questions with this transit that might be on all of our hearts right now is, how do I come into a place of emotional empowerment? How do I return or create an environment and an emotional outlay that is not afraid for the future, that is not paranoid with what I currently have, that is not working from a place of lack or from a place of, not having enough and fearing and not feeling secure, okay? Because Mars conjunct Neptune is really going to bring up issues relating to this. What I think the answer is, to some degree, is communication. Okay, some of us do have to get ourselves out there now. Some of us do have to start making new friends, okay, making new connecting points, making new understandings of the world. And some of us have to do it in a much more fearless way. Some of us who are single or who have been disconnected for a long time really have to allow ourselves to be helped by others now, or to be seen and admired for our positive qualities. I feel a bit of a masochistic trait with this time, where we are putting ourselves through a much more difficult time than we have to, where we are really putting ourselves down, or really being self-sabotaging to some degree too. So the themes of self-sabotage, the themes of self-masochism, the themes of just self-destruction with Neptune and Mars conjunct in Pisces. This has to be met with the understanding of human purpose, which now in this age and in these more developed times is not just to be, wasted, or to just be destroyed by the self, or to just be commandeered by others either. This is a time of true self-preservation and true self-strength. And it's important that we really allow ourselves to take that. And what does that mean for us, that means responsibility. That means, not going on a bender, not, ruining your biorhythms, not spending everything that you make on things that you don't need, like truly starting to embrace self-love and self-care with this transit. It is the best remedy. I also feel really strongly that this time and this transit will end up offering solutions. So there will be solutions to any questions that come up here. And it's through the difficulty, or it's through not knowing how you wanted to move forward, or having something be a fixture in your life that just could not really be figured out, and the frustration of that for a long, long time can lead to certain very hopeful solutions after this period of time. There might be something gritty or visceral that comes up relating to any of these old fixtures, or relating to any of these old long-running things, and certain new values that come from them as well. Or, what I kind of see with this, if we can think of an old structure, like for example, an old house, and say the house has been abandoned or has been sitting for a very long time. This is sort of the energy of the Capricorn energy retrograde. And then with the Mars Neptune, you can get a new outlook on the value of what that represents, or you can start to face it, or you can start to renovate it, or you can start to change it, and ultimately create something much more valuable to your sense of security. But the Mars Neptune also does not really make this easy per se or natural, but it does offer a solution on the other side of it through the uncertainties that we experience of the energy. On this side, it really does offer a new solution. So it's probably going to be quite a symbolic solution too. I do see sales for this time too, like anybody who is, trying to economize or open new avenues of releasing old responsibilities or releasing old commitments. That might take longer than you think, and it might be a bit of a harder process, and it might feel in this moment during this transit like it's psychologically difficult, but it's like unraveling itself, and it's proving itself to be more of a mind game than it is actually like a physical problem. So this can really be related to anything that you might personally be going through, with, dealing with debt, dealing with old relationships, dealing with family dynamics. It's more of a mind game, or it's more of a psychological thing you will start to see after this transit than it is like a physical dilemma. And what we are really asked to do with what we learn during the time of this transit is to make certain decisions and to find solutions as we move into Cancer time in late June and early July. And as we start to see things from a more sacred perspective, we will really find more meaningful solutions. That's what I feel, at least. But this time of like June 12th to June 20th changes, shifts, kind of being against the grain for some people. That's okay. And also feeling discouraged or feeling overwhelmed, and then through that understanding the psychology of it and coming back into yourself with a lot more clarity and strength, and being able to face old problems with the triple retrograde conjunction in Capricorn, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. Old problems, old dynamics, old structures, with a with at least the ability to hold it and move it and make it something more proper for yourself. Because there has been a calling with this triple conjunction in Capricorn, having Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. It has called for context, okay? It has called for our own personal histories, what we've been devoted to, what has been a part of our upbringing, what has been a part of our ancestry, our legacy, all of those types of things. And this Mars-Neptune conjunction happening during the time of their retrograde is going to really penetrate through old waves of dynamics there in context to all of what I just spoke of. So it's a piercing spiritual notion within all of that. So it's interesting. It is interesting, the solutions that can be found here, especially after this time, and the clearing of certain old blockages, or the acceptance of how things must move forward. These are all places where we can take comfort, I think, during this time. So finding comfort, especially as we move into Cancer season, is going to be vital. What an important time July will be to sit and be comfortable and to feel like you can breathe and to feel like you are getting healthier. I'll talk more about that in the appropriate video, but I just want to say that this conjunction of Mars-Neptune, and why I'm speaking about that here, is it will really probably be the catalyst for that time, for that experience, for penetrating out into a better form or a better experience, or into a more comfortable, healthy circadian rhythm. And this has just come to me very clearly. I was about to wrap up, but this has come to me very clearly. These things that occupy parts of our mind that we're not directly focused on, these aspects of our lives, these aspects of our stories that make us lose sleep or worry us or keep us in Nine of Swords mode, but we don't face them directly. This Mars-Neptune conjunction is here to really offer solutions for that through how we face that here and now. So this will come through your own perspective, the perspective of self, which is always trustable. And this will also come from the perspectives of others, I think, too. It's very deep. It's very mature. Even though Mars and Neptune can be inauspicious when in conjunction, they're in the very mature sign of Pisces. Neptune is at home, and Mars, it's okay in Pisces. It's not the worst place for it. So there is a maturity about what happens here. There is an evolution and an advancement and a true, quickening that comes after, yes, but it's not really the time of that now. But it really orients the mind to start purging out and purifying old things that we couldn't face, but that were still taking up space. So that is the meat and potatoes of what's going on here. It is more difficult for certain people to do this. People who tend to repress or fear a lot or struggle with any types of paranoia. This is tough. This is something that will hopefully heal that through really showing it for what it is. But embrace the people that you love. Offer hope, offer guidance, offer spaces of love and peace for others, and give that to yourself if you can, especially as we move into Cancer season later. And through what you experience here, you will be compelled, for that, I would imagine. So anyway, without further ado, everyone, thank you so much for being here on YouTube. I so appreciate you coming and checking out the live premieres every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey as we have done this. We started doing this during when the quarantines first started, and I started coming every Friday, and it's been a wonderful community building exercise and time. We do have a Discord if you would like to check that out. I will link it below. Also, I am on social media. I will put those links below too. And I may have to take next week off. I am in the middle of a change and shift myself, trying to get moved, trying to, do some things like that. So I will keep you guys updated. I will post in the community tab about it. So there may not be a video next week, but I've got some really wonderful content planned and coming. I've just got to get situated. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much for being here. All the links are below, and be sure to check out any of the past videos. July readings will be coming towards the end of June, as well as a comprehensive July video and some other individual specific content that has been requested for a long time. So without further ado, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you soon. Much love. Bye.